What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down a quarterback who has the quickest and fastest release in all of college football. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it could teach you a few new things. But also, fellas, if you are a quarterback or a wide receiver and would like to train with us this offseason, we are going to be traveling out to 12 more states across the country for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camps. Next up on our camp tour, we'll be coming out to Charlotte, North Carolina. That camp is completely sold out. But then we'll be coming out to Dallas, the DMV area, St. Louis, Honolulu, Boston, Cleveland, Austin, Seattle, Newark, Denver, and Los Angeles. So if you guys want some more information on that, how you can sign up to work with us, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have you there. Let's get started with this video. So we're going to be breaking down Will Levis, quarterback out of Kentucky who declared for the draft this year. Now, I'm sure most of you have seen this video, right? But this is a video of him training in the offseason last year. And obviously, he's got a lot of twitch, a lot of speed, and a lot of quickness to his throwing motion. So how is he able to get to that point, and how can you try to have as quick of a release as possible? Now, let's start out with why having a quick release is important. You want to have a quick release because when you get to that next level, whether you're a youth guy playing high school ball, whether you're a JV guy who's going to play varsity, whether you're a high school quarterback who wants to play college ball, that game, no matter what level you jump, gets faster. Your throwing windows go from being huge to being very small, and you need a quick release with little to no wasted motion to be able to be on time with your receivers and to be able to play at the next level. So how can you get a quick release? Now, I'm not saying all of you should try to throw like Will Levis here, but you should try to mimic a few things from his throwing motion, and that's what we're going to talk about. So when he goes back to make this throw, number one thing about arm speed, throwing quickness is about having a short stride and being able to transfer your weight and get your hips to rotate through, aka being able to generate torque. You know, a lot of coaches call it like, oh, he's got a nice whip to his arm. He's very twitchy with his arm. Those are all generated from having great hip rotation, a quick front stride, and being able to transfer your weight. So it all starts with your base. Quarterbacks are built from the ground up. They do not start with the arm. You are not trying to move your arm as fast as possible because, hey, that might be quick, but that's not going to be efficient. To get that whip of a throwing motion, it starts with your legs. So number one, your base in the pocket. That's where I want to start. You need to make sure that you have about 65 to 70% of your weight loaded onto your back leg. Some people like to be even. I personally like 60 to 65% on the back leg. And here's why. That 60 to 65% needs to transfer to the front foot to be able to coil your hips to go through. A lot of people think that, oh, I just need to rotate at my hips when I throw. The weight transfer from your back leg to your front leg is what will naturally get your hips to rotate through. So I need that weight to be loaded on that back leg. I say 65 to 70. Now that back foot needs to be able to be underneath your shoulder. Reason why you want your back foot under your shoulder is so those hips can actually turn through on your throwing motion. What a lot of guys will do is they have a very, very wide base in the pocket because they think, oh, if I have a really wide base, my front stride's going to get down faster, and that's going to quicken up my release. That is not the case because when your feet are super wide outside your frame, naturally your back knee is going to cave inward a little bit. And when your back knee caves inward, you physically can't rotate at your hips. So the reason why Levis has such a quick release is because this back foot is under his frame, his weight is loaded back, and he's able to take that quick stride. So now when that quick stride is down and your back foot is under your frame, aka maybe a more so narrow base, watch how easy it is for his hips to turn through. That front hip can come open, that back hip can drive through, and when those hips are rotating through before the football, before your shoulders, that is how you create that whip of a throwing motion. And that is what we want. That is how you quicken up your release. Now, a lot of people think that, oh, just the short stride is going to quicken up your release. And it will, but it doesn't guarantee that you're going to be efficient. You need to make sure that you have your back foot under your frame, and you need to make sure that those hips are coming through quickly. They're coming through violently, as I should say. Now, to be able to generate throw power when doing this, you need to make sure that you are separating your upper body from your lower body. Very similar to like how you would say a baseball player doing, like hitting a baseball, or a golfer hitting a golf club. And I'm going to show a clip here of Will Levis hitting a baseball, he was at the Kentucky baseball field, I believe is where it was, and he hit one over the fence, right? And so we're going to break down the mechanics of his baseball swing and his throwing motion, and it's pretty much the exact same thing to help you guys think about it. Because yes, you want to rotate with your hips. Yes, you want your back leg in a good position, but your throwing motion isn't going to have any pop to it if we're not able to generate torque. And that's what I want to talk about now. So when your weight is loaded back 60%, 65%, 70% on the back leg, that allows you to do something called hip and shoulder dissociation, which is essentially when you take the ball back and your front shoulder slightly closes as the front stride gets down and the hips are starting to go through. So you're not going to be able to get to this point where your shoulders rotate back if you have an improper base. A lot of quarterbacks will stand in the pocket and they have a ton of weight onto their front side. They have about 65, 70% onto their front leg and 30% on their back leg. Now, when your weight is shifted forward, you physically can't rotate that front shoulder. But when your weight is loaded back, that makes it very easy to stay back with your shoulders. And this position right here is no different than when a baseball player takes a stride and he's holding the bat. Because now that back hip going through, you just pivoting off the back foot, you squishing the back bug, if you will, is what brings the bat through. And that's how we get torque on a bat, on like a hitter, hitting a baseball. That's how you get torque with your batter stance. Just like throwing a football, fellas. It is more similar to hitting a baseball than throwing a baseball when it comes to throwing mechanics. Now, the whole reason all of this matters is to get your release faster. Because if you can get that front foot down, if you can make sure your base is a little bit more narrow so your hips can go through fast, the arm is naturally going to be faster. You see guys drop the ball extremely low like Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray. However, it doesn't take too long for them to get the ball out because they have such great hip rotation and such great whip with their lower body. It's all about being able to generate torque and power from the lower half and separating your upper half. So let's play this full speed, and then we're going to break down his baseball swing. Because I feel like from my personal perspective, when I think about it like a baseball swing or a golf swing for all you people who play golf out there, it's easier for me to understand because everybody knows how to swing a baseball bat. Everybody knows how to hit a golf club, but not everybody knows how to throw a football efficiently. So when this pitch throws the ball, you see what he's got with his bat. Watch what happens when his front foot gets down. Where are his shoulders? His shoulders are loaded back. The baseball bat is loaded back. Front stride is getting down. It's the same kinetic chain as it would be throwing a football. So now what needs to fire through next? His hips need to fire through next, right? Hips go through, front hip is opening up, back hip is driving through before the shoulders do, and what's trailing behind? The bat. Just like how your arm is trailing behind. So everybody can agree when a baseball player hits just a bomb or just a laser off the bat. It's almost like you can't even see the bat, right? It's almost just like there's so much whip, there's so much rotational force. That's how I want your guys' arms to be. But you don't do that by like thinking about, okay, I'm going to move my arm extremely fast. It is all built from the lower half. That is where your twitchiness comes from. That's where your quickness comes from to your motion. It's all about the lower body. That will bring the upper body through faster. And that's the whole reason for me showing this clip. Just so you guys can see the torque necessary to hit that baseball, but also compare and contrast to the torque necessary to throw a football. So let's look at that clip, those examples that this video went super viral. Let's take a look at his mechanics here. Where's his shoulders? His shoulders are back. His front foot is down. What's coming through his hips? You see how the arm trails behind. Very, very similar to the baseball mechanics that we just discussed. Front foot's down, hips are trailing through. That is what creates that whip to your arm. When you guys can stay back with your upper body on foot strike, and those hips are going through before the shoulders, before the arm, before the elbow, that is what creates that throw velocity, that whip, and that quick release. So now, why was this important? Let's recap. The reason why all this was so important is because when you get to the next level, those throwing windows are incredibly small. Right? And Levis showcases this. This is why you need a quick release, because if you're going to play with the top 1% of football, that's what it is when you go from high school and you're trying to play Division I ball. Everybody on the other side of that ball is fast. They run a 4.4. They're quick in terms of the secondary, right? They're all the best guys from their high school team. In high school, when you got a DB like that, you don't even throw his way. You just go to the opposite side. Now you have to throw his way. So you can't make up for any wasted motion. You can't have a long stride. You can't not have your hips involved with the throw. So let's look at an example here from Will Levis in a game. Watch this. This is such an impressive throw, but look how quick his arm whips through. So he's moving in the pocket. He's drifting back, throws almost off his back foot, and is able to fit this thing into an extremely tight window. I want you to see this window here. 3 guys around. Now listen, I'm not saying that I want you to make this throw because that's an incredibly risky throw. But in terms of you're a high school player, if you're a youth player, if you have dreams and aspirations of playing at the next level, they don't want to see quarterbacks who have a real long, slow, overstride, not using their hips. Quarterbacks, there's an eye test, not just for your height, not just for your size, but for how that ball comes off your hand. And again, I'm not saying you need to throw it exactly like Levis does, because everybody's got their own throwing motion. Everybody's got different throwing mechanics. However, you being able to have the correct sequencing, your shoulders staying back, your hips driving through, your weight staying back in your base, all of those things can be replicated by every single quarterback across the country. And I don't care what age you are. You could be 40 years old or you could be 10 years old. Those things can be replicated. And that is what's going to make you the most efficient passer you can be. You're not trying to mimic Patrick Mahomes. You're not trying to mimic Aaron Rodgers. You're just being the best you can be, but it's the most efficient version of yourself. And again, this is a lightning quick release. This is why I think he has one of the quickest releases in college football, definitely in the draft this year. And I'm excited to see how he plays out. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, we're going to be traveling out to 12 more states for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camps. So if you guys want some more information on that, how you guys can sign up, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have you out there. I'll see you guys next time.